Second of the two on the island, and then of course we've got another one tomorrow night in Sterling, and then another one, Richard, when are you doing? April 14th. Welcome to the Strickland Auditorium. I want to thank Epworth for allowing us to use this facility tonight, and I very much appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We did these for several reasons, and I want to kind of go through those real quick. And I'm going to allow different members of the staff to talk to you about some of the plans that have been proposed. And again, these are all proposed, and I'll give you some background as to why they were proposed. And then the rest of the night, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. We've got mics out here. We'll get mics to you, let you ask questions, and we'll go from there. Ask one thing. I see some people in here that I've heard from many times already. I want to ask those that have not had a chance to go to the mic to talk first. And then those of you who've already been to a couple meetings, if you guys don't mind waiting until the end, and I'll be more than happy to stay and take everybody's comments. But this is your opportunity to address your commissioners and what you like about the plan or what you don't like about the plan, or if you have any other solutions that you think would be helpful for us. Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. And again, if you have something else that you'd like to talk about, we're willing to do that too. When you come to the mic, state your name and where you live. Go ahead.
My name is, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
My name is Tom Parker. I want to thank you for allowing for this interchange. I'm wondering why we're avoiding the elephant in the room, and that is to duplicate what Jekyll has done and have a parking fee over here. I think if we got a parking booth on Kingsway and Demery and Sea Island Road, that it would be amazing what we could collect. And the problem that we're having with parking on East Beach and the other location might diminish, and we might not have to pay or charge a fee to park. I think that bitterness that people feel of parking to go to the beach might dissipate between the toll booth and the parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
The second town that I'd like to mention is I was recently, about 2 years ago, I went to Sedona, Arizona. When you get to Sedona, they have various parking lots throughout the town where you can park. You get on like a little hop and go shuttle. It takes you right through. It runs like every 20 minutes. There's a shuttle following the other one. The restaurants love it. You get off at the restaurant. You get on whenever you're finished. And I think that would be a wonderful idea. And if you have to pay, if you want to learn for parking. My question to the board is, I've read in the newspapers, I'm sure everybody else did. I mean, obviously, we've had several of these meetings, and it's apparent to most of us, I think, that this is not a popular idea here. And I've heard that, you're listening to our ideas, but that's not going to be the determining factor. And I'd like to know, how are you going to make the decision?
Mr. Palms West.
Yes.
The Georgia Development Impact Fee Act was passed in 1990, and the purpose of the act was it sets rules for local governments that wish to charge new development for a portion of the additional capital facilities to be served. You can use it for parks, you can use it for fire, you can use it for sheriff, you can use it for libraries, you can use it for roads. There's currently 49 entities, counties and cities in Georgia that have impact fees. And what we're talking about here, whether it's parking in the village, or traffic circles, or parking at the beach, it's developmental pressure, putting in pressure on the infrastructure. And I think it's time we took advantage of this law and imposed impact fees on the development that's taking place on the island. It's a good source of revenue for you, and the law says what you can do with it. I took a quick look. Camden County's approved for developmental fees. I took a quick look online to see what I could find out down there. It has a schedule of their fees, what it is for all the commercial and residential building and so forth. And I noticed they got $169,000 sitting in their impact fee balance. Now I don't know how
Yes, thank you. The lady that was talking about Sedona, my wife and I spent about a month in Telluride, Colorado, and we were working up there, doing events. They have shuttles that run all over town. They have parking meters, almost 90% of the streets are parking meters. If you're a hoteler, and your guests are staying there, a lot of them don't have parking for their guests. You've got to park out of town. They have shuttles. You drop your baggage off because you're taken around by shuttles. It would be simple to put shuttles at the shopping center, the original shopping center, right where you leave the causeway that's kind of empty now, and have shuttles coming to the island and put toll meters everywhere at a high price, like $5. Because why are we going to toll just Massengale and the Coast Guard station when there's also village problems? Then when you talk about permits, if you do a parking lot, you're going to have permits that you can buy for $35 a year. Is that going to just be for permanent residents of St. Simon? Because I don't think people that don't live here and put up with it every day should pay $35 for permit. It should be a higher price for somebody else. If you get a bunch of kids that'll buy a permit, and they'll be over here every day, because that's where your problem is. And the problem, like you say, was not till 3 years ago. And somebody needs to get some muscle, or get some testicles, and go to the state and do something about being able to toll the island, because if not, I don't want to see this becoming a city. And it's going to become a city, and I'm anti the people that are wanting to put a city in. But if this doesn't get fixed, I'll be one of the biggest that helps promote this. And
I'm Michael Trent. Just a couple of observations. I think I heard you say for 55 to 60 days if there was open parking or there wasn't no station parking. That is 300 and some days a year that obviously there is. Correct. And spend $4 to $5 million when we have sewers that aren't in great shape. Mistake. It seems as though we have our priorities in the wrong place. I'm thinking of where I came. People moved near an airport. You know what they did? They complained about the noise after they moved near the airport. If you have a public beach, there are going to be people using it. You have about 15 or 20 entrances from Gould's Inlet up to Massengale. People are going to park in the street to use those public entrances. They may not park in Massengale or the Coast Guard. I go there today and look at East Beach Homes Association. That's on the other side of the Coast Guard station. Massengale, 3/4 of a mile away from there. It just seems, I'm reminded, I suppose, as a retired English teacher, Aesop, and we're trying to choke the goose that's laying the golden eggs.
My name is Becky Matthews, and I live on First Street, East Beach, so I see a lot of the parking issues that you're talking about. I do not see them as a whole summer issue. It happens mostly heavy weekends. Most weekends, that parking lot is full. Maybe there's a smattering of parking elsewhere. Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, then you got that problem. But this is an awful lot of money to spend for 5 or 6 days. The only thing I would like to say is I'm totally opposed to the idea of paving the parking lot. I'm totally it comes in my house from there. But I don't want that parking lot paved.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Joyce Roberts. I have a couple of questions. I think you said that that you were not in favor of asphalt, but it was increased.
When the initial estimates that we got were based on asphalt.
Correct.
But clearly that's not the best surface for a beach parking lot.
Okay, the 2.6 million is asphalt, is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have a number for concrete?
Not yet.
That would be considered.
Double it.
No, it's getting,
I'm sorry.
the engineering is getting closer. So you'll cross the line.
Does that figure include the kiosks, the pavilion, the walkway improvement?
Yes. The walkway improvements and the pavilions is part of the number that's all. Yes, ma'am.
I agree with the woman that was just here, that they're not gonna pay, they're gonna park on the street. Are there any no parking signs in the areas that are such a problem in these beach neighborhoods?
Well, there's not now because, again, there's no law against parking in the county right of way. And so anybody that wants to go to the beach can park in the county right of way and pull over and go to the beach.
And is it not possible to have no parking signs or parking for residents only?
We can certainly, we discuss that, that's one of the items that's on the table that we can talk about, is to pass an ordinance and create a no parking in a public right of way. That also has unintended consequences. Where you stop, is it only the East Beach neighborhood? You go all the way down to all the neighborhoods, all the way down to the lighthouse? Because there clearly parking all over the streets there. You know, how do you monitor that? Do you do a pass? Do you do a sticker? So those are issues that are certainly need to be discussed and talked about. But also bear in mind, and I think everybody needs to hear that, if you stop anybody from going to the beach, from parking in county right-of-ways, in the neighborhoods, then you've now limited the number of people that can go to the beach to the 220 or so cars that can get in there right now. Because everybody else will be behind. Yeah, I mean, that's the reality.
Maybe we don't need 300 more people.
I hear what you're saying, but I think that you're talking about limiting the people who live on St. Simon who go to the beach as well as the rest of Glynn County. Well, that's fair.
I don't know. Well, there weren't that many days that it was capacity, so, you know, I've never not been able to park.
I guess I would probably, my name is Larry Wade. I grew up on Jekyll, was born here and grew up in Mount Little, St. Simon's. In an executive summary, I guess I would say that I think we need to do something about the parking. Even for me, as a St. Simons resident, I live on North Harrington Road. And going to the beach, there are days and times when we have to park along the East Beach Causeway or whatever it might be to get there. It's not safe for me or visitors as we park on the streets and walk along the side of the roadways to try to get to the beach. And I think not for y'all, that would be irresponsible. I think it's irresponsible for us as county citizens if we don't try to take care of what our issues and problems in our community. We live in a great place. I'm not for making a Daytona Beach, Myrtle Beach, or anything like that out of St. Simons Island. I mean, I'm native here. I love where we live. I love the aesthetics of it and so forth. And you're taking the same space of a parking lot and trying to improve it. I don't know which way would be the best. I kind of agree with you. Asphalt would not be my favorite, but that we would spend the money to handle what it would take for it to be pervious or for rainwater or whatever the case might be, but to make it safe for people to go to the beach and give them an opportunity to go to the beach. We live in a great place where we live on the edge of the state.
I'm Dick Moser, and I live right over there, just a couple hundred yards away in the village of Frederick River. I'd like to start just by commending commissioners and you, Dale, for holding these type meetings. I think they're productive. I think it's an opportunity for people to voice some opinions, get some really good suggestions, and with others about it as well. More questions. The second question concerns something that you were concerned about at our meeting, and that is the tree canopy. I would ask people as well, as you drive take a look at the trees today that are cut down on my property. There is no tree canopy. Granted, most of those trees are not live oak trees, but it isn't clear to me. What's clear to me is that the plan is to put as many townhomes as you can on my property, regardless of what it's going to look like, with some effort towards a few new palm trees somewhere. But, come on, give me a break. This is important to this island. Tree canopy was destroyed years ago, and it's only gotten worse in recent weeks. So the question I have is, who oversees that? Is there a commission that oversees it, or someone in the professional offices, or?
Well, there's other people, as I said, in my range of the answer.
Subdivisions are currently exempt from tree canopy standards. The reason why is when the original tree ordinance was passed, that's the way it was written at that time, and went through all the hearings with the planning commissions at that time and with the board at that time. That is one of the items that we have that we're looking at under the moratorium statute.
My name's Mike Fitzgerald. I live down on Ocean Boulevard in St. Simons, and with due respect to Ms. Everett, I think maybe I'm the next most senior. I want to thank y'all for this public meeting and the fact that recognizing the problem is the first step in solving it. And if there's been any lack of civility and all tonight, I would like to apologize for it and encourage y'all to continue to do what you're doing right now. Parking is just part of the problem on St. Simons. It's an infrastructure problem. We're talking about this one particular part of it tonight. Traffic's problems, water and sewer's problem, and the point that I like to make, using parking as the example, is if you're a wing shooter, let's not shoot at a static target. You're going to have to leave this problem because St. Simons has been marketed very well, and it's popular now. It's going to continue to be more popular until we hit some limiting factor. Parking and traffic, etc., sewer may be part of that. But if we just say, well, today there's only this many days when we have private parking, then this year, 2 or 3 years from now, it's going to be twice as many days. You go to the pier now, and it used to be deserted when I was a kid. It's crowded already. So just don't shoot at a static target. Remember that this is going to be an ongoing growth-related set of problems. That said, beach parking is only a drop in the bucket as far as what the numbers are. And the problem is, it's not hotels and hotels who usually have parking spaces for their own guests. It's the day trippers. And they're forced over here by Justice parking fee. They don't spend much money. They bring their stuff with them. They leave their soiled diapers and trash on the beaches at this point in time. And they need it. Okay? There's other possibilities already been brought up, good ideas, remote parking with shuttle buses, or as we used to call them, mule trains, the little things that drag around the island carrying people in their chairs and coolers and all this other stuff. But, you know, maybe out here at Gaston or over at the airport.
Good evening. My name is Bill Dustman, and I want to thank the commissioners for allowing us to come out and talk tonight and take up an hour of your time and our reports all the way over here to listen to our issues here on the island. As far as the moratorium, I really think you needed 6 months instead of 3, but you've had that discussion. I think it's really putting quite a strain on Mr. Haney's department to squeeze things in 3 months. It's very difficult, and all the other issues of having sufficient input from the community is going to take longer than 90 days. So with that said, let me get back to the subject at hand, which is this beach parking situation. First off, I'd like Mr. Howers to get a firm number on the cost of the pavers, because I see Mr. Holland here, and we're all concerned about the runoff and how it's affecting the marsh. That is a major concern. That's one of the reasons that we're trying to fix this parking lot. A lot of people say, well, if it's not broke, let's don't try to fix it. But that picture with the water in there, that may not be just a once in a while time. If there's water, people aren't going to park in the muddy areas. They're going to park where they can, or they're going to park sideways. And you could get a lot more spaces in there if it was paved with pavers and make it look decent. I think Mr. Usher's plan is a really good looking plan. I think it'll make a big improvement out there. If you can increase the parking on these two spots for 60%, a lot of your problems on the side streets are going to go away. And then they could
Attached. Go ahead, sir.
Neil Stein from here on the island. Just to add to what he said, if you've ever parked up in Savannah, you know they've got the parking kiosks, and you can use a credit card in those, and you get your ticket for the amount of time you want, you put the sticker in the windshield, and you're good to go for a while. Initially, it was pointed out about how wide the cars are parked here, and the previous gentleman said about using parking lot attendants. And you might want to think about reconfiguring the parking lot now, regrading it, maybe putting another layer of rock on with sand over top to get your drainage for the pervious condition. But then also your poles that are laid on the ground in some areas, bring them up a little bit. Put the spots, the lines on them, marking out the parking spaces. And you have an attendant as they come in. He'll tell them to go to the next attendant, who will direct them into a parking spot. And the areas where you don't have any barriers along the sidewalk, put barriers in there and mark them the same way. Put in a designated drop-off area for people that have a lot of things they're going to take down to the beach. Let them go up, drop off, and then let that car come back down and get in line to get assigned to a parking space. And maybe turn the parking lot differently so you can have a section at the bottom end for the Coast Guard station for people that want to visit that, have that specific to them, and then let everybody else park up above. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name's Al Saylor, live here in Ohio. Just looking at your plan, it looks to me that you designed a Rolls Royce when you're talking in a golf cart here. You spend a lot of money for new beach crossovers, picnic areas, especially at the Coast Guard station. I don't think that the parking lot is a designation area for people want to have a picnic in the parking lot. So I think there's a lot of money in here that really doesn't gain anything with parking. Again, I like the guy that has for parking, the dogs that are down there now. Get 10 gallons of paint, go down there and paint some stripes in it. That'll give you some more parking right now. Thank you.
I mean, granted, we have really long meetings, and that probably wasn't such a good idea. But it seems to me that the only way you can address the commission now is to sign up the day before. There are only 3 people that get to speak. They each get 5 minutes, but the commission doesn't respond to anything they say. So I just don't understand. I mean, I'm so glad that we have this parking problemo so that we can actually see our commissioners and talk to them. It's a relief. Now, you know, I'm going to take a little bit of time because I've spent a great deal of my time going to your meeting, to churches.
So are you recommending that we build a big convention?
Yeah, I'm recommending that you take your $4.7 million and build a room big enough that will hold your constituents. And I don't think it's going to cost 4.7. And while we're on the subject, I know you can't talk about this either because you're being sued, but water and sewer, sir, you were chairman of water and sewer when all of the you-know-what hit the fan. What are you thinking? Why are we standing here talking about parking when our whole island is sitting on top of a pipe that could explode at any moment? And the other night, I believe it was on the 27th at 11:37 in the evening, I went out on my back porch, and the smell was so bad, it closed my throat up. And I don't know what that was, but I sent emails around to people and I said, do you smell this? And I got responses back that the day before and for 2 days down at Demery by the airport that there was a horrible smell. Now, I don't know what's going on, but this judge is not happy with you, and she shouldn't be. It's disgusting what has been allowed to happen. And the only one who's not responsible for this is JR. JR, and who's the other one that's new?
What's his name?
Russell.
What's his name?
Okay, they get a pass. They get a pass because they're new. But you, sir, you were the chairman of Water and Sewer.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, just so the audience knows who I am, I'm James Holland. I used to be the Omaha River keeper all of you guys. Over all of that, I only complain about one thing, and that has to do with the environment, generally speaking, stormwater. Two of my things tonight is going to be on hearsay, and they won't last long, okay? The first meeting you had over at the other place with the East Beach folks,
Yes.
a lady approached me that night and talked to me briefly about this Mariner's Landing down here. I don't call her name. Mariner's Landing.
Yep.
The gentleman down there had hired an engineer, according to this lady, and I have a tendency to want to believe her. They were trying to draw up plans to run a pipe across Tabby Ruins, that was old slave cabin, to the marsh, to dispose of the stormwater, okay? I told the lady, ma'am, if I can, I'll help you. And one of the gentlemen speaking just a while ago, he reminded me why I was down there at this place this afternoon. I was looking to see how many outlets there would be on that site without having to put a pipe into the marsh where we can't see what he's discharging. Okay? I saw 3 outlets, easy, too easy, that he could run that stormwater out either directly to Sea Island Road, or he could run it out, there were 2 of them on Hamilton Road that he could go out to. I also saw some 50-plus-year-old pines that got the saw sometime today. But I think the reason I asked, I wanted to talk about that was because you're the folks that can stop craziness like putting the pipe across the Tabby Ruins over there to get rid of stormwater. All they're trying to do is hide it, okay? So we can't see what it is. Okay, the other one has to do with East Beach, and another hearsay that I heard just last evening. I need to know if there's been any bacterial warnings for that beach in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
I'm not aware of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Honestly, I wouldn't know. The gentleman in the back says there has been.
Well, this lady had a home out there, and she went back to Athens yesterday, and she told me that the beach itself has been, not the beach, but the water is on bacteria warnings over there. I don't know this for a fact, but generally speaking, when we have bacteria in the water, there's a couple of places it can come from. Offshore, the ship's dumping it. I'm a realist. I'm not something I'm going to tell you one method. Another one is Sea Island. Sea Island has over 500 old septic tanks. Okay? Still active. They need to go, guys. Use them. By the way, I want to thank all of y'all. This is the only time that I'll ever have a forum where I can discuss real issues where the right people can hear them. Okay, then my other one is I promised some of my Padres that I was not going to discuss this, but I think tonight might be the time. It's an island issue, okay? It's not mainland. It's a marsh issue, and it's something that I have been working on for years. Contrary to you might not know about it, I have been working on this for years. When the county went to get its permits from the Coastal Marshland Protection Committee, Jim Brunner was the engineer at that time. This was back in 2007, okay? Jim Brunner told, and I've got the minutes, I just didn't write, I'll send them to you electronically, where he said the drainage would not change. That was a lie, outright lie. The drainage had changed. On the north side of Denver, there's about a 2-acre patch of marsh over there. It is now, I've been over there in the last 2 or 3 days.
Where are you talking about?
Okay, at the gateway, okay, I'm sorry, at the gateway circle,
Okay.
on your way off the island, on the north side of Denver, they got that, lift station back over there on the other side, okay? Well, we're losing that marsh. I documented that marsh years ago. I have had, Paul Andrews out there to talk with him about it. I've talked with the Coastal Resources Division about it. They have cut off the flow of salt water too. We're losing that marsh. Gentlemen, we're losing that salt water. That is a violation of the Coastal Marshland Protection Act. You cannot do something to destroy the salt marsh. Whether it's through artificial means or natural means, you cannot cut the flow off. I'm asking you gentlemen tonight, please take an interest in this, see what can be done about it. I thought Paul Andrews and CRD was working on it several years ago, but it comes to an end. But some of you that know me, I don't forget. I'm not going to forget, okay? That marsh needs restoration, too. And I've got it documented, I've got it photographed, I've got all that's needed to show that there used to be a beautiful marsh over there. But since they put those, I don't know what you call those things, on the culverts down there to close off and open up, well, it's not draining properly, and it's certainly not opening up, and that means that salt water comes across. Now, you have a big problem. I've been watching it for months on end. Sea Island Road, that drainage ditch stays full.
Yes.
Constant, 24 hours a day. Okay, I was down there, yesterday afternoon, back down there this afternoon, and I noticed that one of those things, let the water go yonder way towards the marshes, was trickling. There's a little bit of trickle at it, so there's a little bit of drainage there.
So the gate's not going back up?
No, it was, I videoed it because I wanted to show people that it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. What's happened is there's so much silt. Now, I complained several months ago, and Paul must have had somebody go out there and get the dirt and stuff right out of the culvert, because that water yesterday on both sides was about that deep, right at the culvert. But 15 feet that way was nothing but sand and mud and what have you, and then you go on back towards Anderson Road, and the ditch is slammed full again. I don't think a lot of people this island have been all over you about that. That's a mosquito haven if there ever was one. And please, would you help us?
Absolutely, we'll look at that, absolutely. You're welcome, sir.
I'm Julian Smith, and I've lived on the island. My wife and I have had a home on the island for more than 20 years. And I hope you people in the back can hear me. You can hear me all right? I've got a lot of people to thank tonight. I want to thank all of the people who have spoken already. I want to thank the rest of the audience for sticking it out for the hard part. The end of the meeting, when people who have been to other of these meetings, I've been to 4 of them, this is my 4th. So thank you for sticking it out. I don't know why we're calling this a town hall meeting. We don't have a town hall. We're not even a town. Calling this as a town hall meeting is like putting fake shutters on the picture windows. It's just not really honest. So
start of the meeting, Commissioner Provenzano, you asked us to provide solutions. If we didn't like the idea of doing all this new paving, and what solution did we have? If we don't like the idea of paying to park and demanding that visitors pay to park, what solutions do we have? I don't think the citizens of this island are required to provide any solutions as in opposition to or instead of ill-conceived plans that have been sitting in a drawer for 4 years. Come on, there may be no solution to the problem of overcrowded parking lots during some weekends, some holidays, and so on. Things are only going to get worse on this island unless we start putting some brakes on overdevelopment. Encouraging tourists to come. How many more tourists do we need? How many more hotels and timeshare apartments do we need? I remember years ago talking about the Californication of Florida. Well, we're getting the Florida something of Georgia. More and more St. Simon's, to which we moved to get away from Florida, is looking more and more like the Gulf Coast and parts of the East Coast of Florida. I like the older, funkier island. I like the dirt parking lot.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Lisa Norton. I've attended all of the meetings that you've held. At the St. Simon's Community Church, I quoted the motor coaches that had been down in the village during lunchtime. There were 4 of them taking up over 40 parking spaces. In the middle of the week, we counted 8 motor coaches on one day in the middle of the busiest time in the village. And I went by the Chamber of Commerce and picked up their magazine, and they were advertising as on beaches, and there's not a single person in the photographs of Coast Guard Station, Gould's Inlet, and Masseyville Park. They also show Sea Island Beach and Little St. Simon's Island Beach. Well, since the alleys and roads on Sea Island were given away by a previous commission, we no longer get to access the beach on Sea Island. And I just want to say, one of those motor coaches down in our village on several of those days was Sea Island motor coaches. And I want to remind our friends on Sea Island that they step on St. Simon's soil before they get to their doorstep. And we need some consideration in these motor coaches getting removed out of that village area so that we can utilize our parking spaces. And I think we have to reach a point of questioning, when is enough enough? I don't want to leave tonight with this gentleman's statement that this is going to be a positive situation and give an outlook that this is what the majority of the people in St. Simon's want. We do not want our parking lots paved, period. I am very concerned where the Chamber of Commerce is taking our community. And I went down to the chamber and I removed my organization from their roster because I think there's a lot of greed on this island. And I think there has got to be a point to where the land can only hold so many. Now, those of us that moved here, we bought houses, we pay taxes, we do not want to preclude anybody from enjoying the natural resources that all of us are entitled to, and that means going to the beach. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that our marsh buffers have been cut. And this week, some of us went over to Jekyll and attended a meeting with Clay George, who's a specialist on our marine mammals. And we asked, what are those necropsies showing for these animals that are beaching? We are right now having dolphins, pygmy whales, and other large mammals beaching on Little St. Simon, Sapelo, Jekyll, St. Augustine. And his response was, They are full of plastic trash, okay? Those marsh buffers keep that trash from blowing into the water. The young man that you gave the liquor license last week, Mr. Handy, he goes out on these waters and he said, Lisa, you wouldn't believe the garbage that's out in our ocean. I would like on a positive note to suggest to go back to the drawing table and let Glynn County be a leader, and let's have our own county marsh buffer ordinance that gives us some teeth that we can protect ourselves from having our natural resources that we are almost exploiting at this point because our island can't take anymore. We've got to repair our infrastructure before we take another development jump. And I don't believe paving the parking lots needs to be our top priority at this time. I only want to say one more thing, Dale. I'm going to keep your toes to the fire about your representative on our Island Planning Commission. And I'm not going to read you the definition of conflict of interest. Mr. Ursrich has been preparing draftings and drawings for this county for years, and that is a conflict of interest. It's blatant, and he is making decisions that may affect job opportunities that he gets in the future. And I'm asking you to please consider appointing someone else that can represent this island. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed King. Live here on St. Simon's Island, and I'm at the beach every weekend. And I'd like to second others that have acknowledged the Board of Commissioners for holding these meetings. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come to them, and appreciate your tolerance and patience for entertaining the comments that are presented here tonight. I'll keep my comments very brief. You mentioned earlier that one of the main reasons people come to St. Simon's Island to go to the beach is because Jekyll raised their parking fee from $5 to $6, and it's gone up over the years. That's only part of the equation. The other reason that people come to St. Simon's Island Beach is because it's safe. And I'd like to acknowledge Chief Dory and his staff of the summertime beach patrols that are out there customer service. I'd also like to acknowledge the Parks and Recreation folks and commend the board for increasing funding for Parks and Recreation to provide additional lifeguards and the equipment necessary to keep our beaches safe. If you look at the beaches on any given weekend, the overwhelming majority of the people who come there are families. And the families come to our beach because they feel safe. They can let their kids play in the water, they can run up and down the beach, and know that the lifeguards and the police are keeping the families safe. And we want to thank you guys for doing that.